Hello and welcome back to Parallax Scrolling for Web Design. Before we move further with our CSS, I want to go ahead and clean up the file a little bit so that it's going to be a little easier to read, because we're going to add some more rules here, and it's going to be easier if we throw in some comments and group these together in a way that makes sense. So the first thing I'm noticing, and this might not be a big deal to you, but it bugs me a little bit, is that we have the stars background here, and it has a z-index of 100. Then we have our content section, which has a z-index of 300, and then below that we have the images section, which is in between those two with a z-index of 200. So again, it's not really a big deal, but I want to go ahead and order these in a way that makes sense that way, so it's easier to keep track of where everything is in here. So I'm going to cut the images rule there, and I'm going to paste it above the content. Then below our content, we've got our main nav, which is supposed to be on top of everything with a z-index of 1000. But then at the very bottom, we have the Earth image, which has a z-index of 900, which is just below that nav. So I'm going to grab this Earth section, cut it, and then paste it between the content and main nav sections. So again, reordering it like that is not necessarily something you have to do. It's just something that makes sense for me since I'm trying to keep in mind all the different stacking orders that we have going on here. So the next thing I want to do before we move on is to place some comments in here, because we're about to get more and more CSS in here. It's going to get a little crowded, so it's going to be easier if we can find each of these sections pretty easily. So I'm going to start up here at the top, just above the stars section, and we'll put the / and asterisk for the opening of a comment. And then I'm going to throw in a bunch of asterisks here, and then we'll type in the word stars, and a bunch more asterisks, and then a closing asterisk / for that line of comment. So I know that this whole section is for stars. Okay, so I'm going to highlight that, copy it, and then we'll do the same thing for the images section, because we're going to have several more rules for the images. So we'll change that from stars to images. Same thing for content. We're going to have several more rules for our content area. So we'll paste that comment line again and change this to content. And then for the Earth section, we'll do it here as well. And finally, for the navigation section. So now everything is very neatly blocked off. It's very easy to tell which sections are where. And now we can go into this with a little bit more confidence, knowing where everything is, and we should be able to work through the rest of this CSS pretty quickly. So we'll get started with that in the next video. So let's save our file, and I'll see you then.